Thank you for listening to Driven to Thrive. We're the podcast where game changers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders are redefining what drive and excellence looks like and are living life on their own terms to truly thrive. If you have any questions or want to get in contact with us, you can visit us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at VMT Speaks. At VMT Speaks, I'm Veronica Maldonado Torres, host of the Driven to Thrive podcast. Thanks for being with us. Well, Sid, welcome to Driven to Thrive.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as a participant in your inaugural podcast. I'm so elated and excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. You know, the podcast is about innovators and game changers and entrepreneurs and leaders, and you are definitely all of those things. So I'm really excited to share your story today. And
Thank you.
You know, you and I go back a little bit.
Absolutely.
About 8 years.
Just a little bit?
Just
Is
a
that
little
it?
bit. Just a little bit. About 8 years now.
So I have to take
yes.
a pause, Veronica. Okay, one of the most important things, the reason why I wanted to be on this podcast is just to show my gratitude to you.
Oh.
The very reason why we are successful is because of you. I've said this several times, time and again. How you've held us or how you've grown us over the years, in the last 8 years, from the very first time when I met you.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a great day.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the building of the Georgia Department of Economic Development.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that
Just
was
meeting you at the Georgia Meta Protege program and how you've taken us through this entire journey and really helping us in terms of the areas where we wanted help, and that's what has led us to our growth. So thank you so much for doing this, and it's an honor to be here.
Well, the feeling is mutual, and I'm excited to share with folks about the trajectory of your company over the last 10 years and to get to know a little bit more about Sid Ahmed, the founder and CEO of VDART. So let's get started.
Sure.
How are you doing today, first and foremost?
Living the dream.
I love that. And that's what this is about, living the dream. Today,
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking a little bit about vision. Actually, not a little bit, a lot of it.
Sure.
And, you know, when I think about Driven to Thrive,
Yeah.
I think about, you know, realizing that vision that you have for yourself.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
You may.
How did you come up with this this word "driven to thrive"? Talk to me a little bit about it.
See, I love it. You know, you never know what to expect with Sid. He'll just reverse it. Thank you for asking me that. You know, Driven to Thrive for me, driven in particular, came at a moment in my life where I was not comfortable being where I was.
Yeah.
It was a season of my life several years ago where I was really experiencing those jolt moments, the moments that come into your life where either it's like, it could be as, you know, impactful as like the foundation kind of breaking around you, or, you know, a difficult obstacle coming in your way. And I was really experiencing a lot of that. And I said, surely this is not where I want to see myself for, you know, the remainder. I can't stay stagnant in this moment.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mediocre. I can't let this be my life.
Yeah.
So how do I take the jolt moments?
Yeah.
You know, how do I take this jolt moment or the many of them that were transpiring at one time? You know, I believe that jolt moments come into your life to help you jumpstart.
Yeah.
You know, like a tutum.
Yeah.
You know, the defibrillator.
Yeah.
I believe that
Yeah.
they come into your life in those
Yeah.
moments to kind of wake you up.
Right.
And you know, to jumpstart you to be obedient
Right.
to that inner voice in you that's saying, I'm not okay with where I'm at and things have to change. And then the L, you know, my whole thing is about acronyms,
Yeah.
is taking a leap of faith about what that whisper is saying to you, and then
Yeah.
trusting the process.
Right.
That seeing the future ahead, seeing that vision of where you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years can happen if you decide to take a step today. And that's where Driven came, because I said, how do I make this a reality? I need a process. So hold on, let me go back. And I had learned so much about my experience in working with businesses at that
Wow.
time. I think it was in my second year, leading a group of incredible entrepreneurs to achieve their vision and their
Yeah.
life's dreams and their goals. And I said, define the vision and mission of where you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years. And that's the D of driven. And, reflect and recognize the gaps of where you are to where you want to be. And that's the R in driven, and illustrate and chart that course, step by step. What is it going to take for you to bridge the gap of where you are today to where you see yourself in 3 years?
Yeah.
And then the V is, okay, you got all that charted and you've got your plans, but go back and validate.
Yeah.
Is this really the plan that I want? Is this really the vision? Is this a vision somebody else gave me?
Yeah.
Is this a whisper that, a family member or a friend said that I should do? No, do I feel it in my soul, within me, that this is the trajectory I should be taking? And then, E is, execution. How do you execute? How do you move from intention, which is a place where a lot of people stay, but the game changers and innovators and, the people who want to live their best life move into execution mode.
Yep.
And so we talk about execution, and then now, John C. Maxwell has that, do it now, 50 times.
Yeah.
And so how do you move into now? And for me, it's no option but to win at my vision, to win at my life. And so, driven has to be rooted in something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, it's not just about success. It's about thriving personally and professionally. And that's why you're here today.
Awesome. Wow.
So thanks for asking me that.
That's powerful.
What does driven mean to you, Sid?
Driven means really living my purpose every day is what driven means to me. All right, and my personal purpose and my company's purpose are one and the same, right? And what it means is our purpose, or my purpose, is to transform the trajectory of people's lives.
That is powerful.
Thank you.
I mean, when you hear to change the trajectory of people's lives, how do you manifest that? How is that manifested in what you do?
How do I manifest that? So it starts off from a simple conversation. Every individual, or a simple thought, let me put it that way, every individual whom you meet on a day-to-day basis, can you really live up to the purpose? How can you have a meaningful conversation through which you can change that person's trajectory? That's the way I look at it. All right. So when it manifests down, the way it looks is, when I'm having a conversation with you right now, is there anything which we are going to converse? Is it going to help you take a different trajectory, which is eventually going to solve your personal purpose?
And when we get down to that, it's really a manifestation of your intention to do so.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're mindful about the intention and the purpose that you have with each engagement.
Absolutely.
And that's just one of the many special things that makes you unique.
Very well said. Intentionality is so important, because you could have a great purpose, but the intentionality with which you execute your purpose is absolutely critical in really taking it to the next level.
So we're going to talk about that.
Sure.
So Sid is the founder and CEO of VDART, and I'm going to allow you to take a moment to share with us about VDART, but just to give a little context to the 10 years and where you are today. Some would say, and I would say, in seeing your rapid growth and development, that you are at the pinnacle of success at this moment. I know it will continue because of your level of intentionality. But just to share, you have recently gotten accolades as the NMSDC National Minority Business Enterprise of the Year 2019.
Correct, yes.
I actually don't know how many suppliers are in the network, how many businesses.
Yeah, there are 12,000 suppliers.
12,000.
Yeah, 12,000 minority business enterprises.
So you've gotten that accolade. You won Supplier of the Year Class 4 by the National Minority Supplier Development Council as well. You won MBE, Minority Business Enterprise Advocate of the Year, which means that you're advocating for other
Correct. Absolutely.
businesses across the nation and in Georgia. Last year, you received the coveted Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Regional Award.
That's correct. Yes.
In 2017, you won the Small Business Person of the Year Award.
Yes.
And for the last 2 years, 2017, 2018, you won the Eagle Award for Leadership.
Correct. Yes.
Through NMSDC as well.
Through GMSDC.
Through GMSDC.
Correct. Yes.
You're also Inc. 5000
Yeah.
in the 7th year
That's correct.
of your 10-year business.
That's right.
So you made it in the 3rd year of your business
Absolutely.
across the country.
Yes.
There are more accolades here that I know I don't have written down. You lead a company of 2,400 employees globally.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
You're literally all across the globe with offices in different cities
That's
and
right.
countries.
Yes.
So tell me about VDART.
Sure.
And then I want to know, before 10 years ago, how did this vision even start?
Excellent. Sure. Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for sharing all the accolades. At some point in time, you always have these challenges where you're not able to remember all your accolades, but it's so important. That is what really, the accolades are a key performance indicator to how your business performs, and largely for the team, right? How VDART as an organization performs. It's like a scorecard
Right.
you get from a public opinion. That's the way I'll put it. So
So is that
thank you so
external
much.
validation? You're doing
Absolutely.
well. Good.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for that. By way of introduction, when you introduced me as the CEO of VDART, I'm no longer the CEO of VDART.
When did that change?
just before this podcast.
Okay.
So I term myself as the CVO of VDART. I'm the Chief Vision Officer of VDART.
I love
So
that.
this was a very
Timely Vision podcast.
absolutely. So I was at Simon Sinek's one of the events which was held in Atlanta.
Yes.
So Simon Sinek says the word executive means nothing. Technically, you're not. You have a CFO who's doing a finance work. You have a COO who does operations work. What does a EO mean? CEO, executive. It doesn't mean anything what you're doing, but to make it more meaningful and more purposeful in terms of what the CEO or the executive leads for the organization and paves the path ahead is setting the vision for the organization. So that's the reason why I'm going to call myself only a CVO.
So are we going to change this on the business card too?
Absolutely, yes.
Fantastic.
So all my introductions, ever since the last time I went for that particular event, I've started calling myself a CVO, and it couldn't have come at a better time, specifically
That's
talking
brilliant.
about vision in this particular podcast.
That's brilliant. And vision's so important, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So share with us about VDART.
Right. So I'll talk a little bit about VDART, and then we'll talk a little bit about where our vision started from. So VDART started the firm in 2007, December, at the peak of recession, and we didn't know whether
What a
recession
crazy
was-
time to start.
Absolutely.
Or brilliant.
So I honestly, at that point in time, I wasn't too sure whether to start, not to start. Had to go through a lot of conversations with several people, my mentors, coaches, and all of them, whether I should start the business then. So 11 years into business, started in 2007. Today we are close to about 2,500 plus people globally. We operate out of 7 different countries, and the area where I started the business was in technology staffing, right? So technology staffing is a commoditized space. There's a lot of other players. Close to so the U.S. has about 22,000 staffing firms. But how do you really stand out of that commoditized space was one of the things. But what had happened was from staffing, 10 years into staffing, our big, hairy, audacious goal was to get to 100 million by 2016. So we did that. Right now we are we are heading towards a finish of 200 million for this year, and our big, hairy, audacious goal is to get to $500 million by 2020. So we operate out of US, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Europe. We operate out of UK and Belgium, Australia. Japan is one of our most recent additions. And all of this is powered by our back office facility, which is based out of Trichy in Tamil Nadu. That is where I come from India. It's a small college town, but when we wanted to start the facility, when we wanted to set up a backbone operation, I chose that location specifically because it's a college town, and this particular college town is just migratory talent. Students come to study there, and then they're gone. So it's about 25 square kilometers, close to about 120 odd educational institutions, centuries old educational institutions. So a lot of good premium talent, but there's never been an employer who's been able to utilize that talent. So so for example, my dad did not have a job in Trichy, as a result of which he had to work outside Trichy, as a result of which I always call myself, growing up with my mom, single parent, right? But anyways, our goal was to create opportunities for people so that they can live and work in Trichy. So today, in that particular place, we grew that team from a 5-people team to a 450 people team in the last 10 years.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
Just the social impact,
Absolutely.
the economic development going on back into your hometown. Right. And again, I think that's one of the places that I have so much admiration for you as a business owner and a leader. It's something deeper. You're bringing heart and opportunity and wealth and quality of life directly back to a place that brought you up.
Absolutely.
So tell me, if we're done with that part.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about just to complete that particular aspect in terms of VDART. So we started off with VDART Inc., which was only in the technology staffing space. We differentiated by being unique in that technology space, in the staffing space. So that's how we differentiated from commodity business. Right. So from there, 10 years into business, we had a very strong board. Our board started recommending that you wanted to be across in the spectrum of technology services. So as a result of which we started VDART Digital about 2 years ago. So VDART Digital is a technology it's a solution provider as opposed to staffing, but it gels well because for VDART Digital, VDART Inc. becomes a pillar of support, or a services or a staffing firm which caters to the need of VDART Digital. From there, we went into product development. So we launched a company called as Vouch. Vouch is a blockchain-based biometric authentication product which we launched, and we have our first customer, and it's already a year and a half into business. And then we started off VDART BPM. VDART BPM is another story. So that's only around providing back office operations or back office business process management for small insurance companies, like the mom and pop shops in the U.S. who are the small business is the heart of the American economy. We wanted to see how is it that we can really enable the small businesses to grow to the next level. So that very, very intentional around hitting those kind of that kind of a market space where other large businesses would not come in and even touch those businesses. So that's VDART BPM, and now we just launched our fifth company, which is VValidate, which is again, which is around authenticating documents, fraudulent. To prevent fraud, we have introduced visa authentication. And it starts off with visa authentication, but there are several other documents what it can authenticate. It's got a huge market base. It's already been accepted in the market very well. It's only about 2 weeks since we launched.
2 weeks?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks since
Brilliant.
we launched.
That's wonderful.
It's working well.
As I hear you speak about all of your companies,
yeah,
and we go back to the vision that you had, tell me how VDART was even birthed. Where?
Awesome.
Yes, we'll start with that.
Let me talk a little bit about the vision. So where did that vision come from? So what is our vision? VDART's vision and my personal vision is one and the same. So our vision is to touch the lives of people associated with us to create success, wealth, and quality of life. So there is a story around it as to why that particular vision was very, very closely, or how did we arrive at this particular vision, right? So in my past, about 11 years ago, I used to work I've always worked only for small businesses, never for a large business. And in small businesses, the kind of mindset entrepreneurs come with, there are certain entrepreneurs who are good, who can take it to the next level. There are certain entrepreneurs who just live in that cocoon of running a small business, more like a lifestyle entrepreneur.
Right.
That's the way they run it. So I was with one of those businesses, and the challenge, what I felt was, I had a 7-8 year long stint with them, and I was spearheading their sales and all of that, more sales, operations, all of that. But what I could not see is, I could never see that the organization is tied towards or creating success for the teammates who are really contributing, whether it's success, wealth, or quality of life. Now, the reason why it impacted me so much was, that's the time frame when I was thinking, how is it that I can create an enterprise where I'm going to take good care of people? How is it that I can create an enterprise where I can create immense wealth generation opportunities? How is it that I can create an enterprise where I can build leaders for the next generation? How is it that I can enhance the quality of life? If you cover these two aspects, quality of life falls into place. So that was the brainchild around it. And so with that thought process, we started off with VDART. When we formulated the word VDART as well, right? The V represents W-E.
W-E, like we.
We, that is correct. So the reason being, again, in this organization, we want to have such a strong vision where everybody who is working for the company, they have success, wealth. We are able to create success, wealth, and quality of life. So every decision-making standpoint, right? So for example, when a person joins a company, there is so at their anniversary, right, or in their quarterly appraisals, the question which is asked is, the dipstick measure is, have we created success, wealth, and quality of life for you? Are we really living true to our vision? So that's where that's the idea where we started off with our vision, and it's been our North Star, and that's what has been driving us. And across the board for all the companies, we are in the people business enabling technology. All right?
When I hear the story that you mentioned about how VDART was birthed, and how you had been working for the company before, and that you were really taking a look at how to make this something valuable where the employees felt like they were really, in essence, coming to work to find meaning in their work.
Yeah.
What I really heard, the word that came to me was empathy.
Yeah.
In seeing yourself, right, as how does this organization, helping me build wealth and quality of life, and not seeing that, then having the vision and the foresight to be able to make sure that when you decided to step out, that would be a pillar and a core value of making sure that you would create that. And that's what leaders do. And that's what I've seen in you, Sid, is the ability to empathize and to manifest and realize opportunities for folks because of your level of intentionality.
Absolutely.
That's an incredible thing to witness.
So there's another story I think we need to add to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I started the firm, right, I did not have, so the vision was there. I knew what I wanted to do, and that's the reason why I exited and started this business. But I could not formulate it in words. And that is when we joined the MPC program, you put us through SBDC, and SBDC did a strategic workshop with some of our business leaders.
The Grow Smart.
Yeah, the Grow Smart program. And that is when we actually arrived at vision, mission, and core values. Now I understand, in all these 11 years of running the business, how important it is to have a vision, a mission, and core values. because that is what is the driving force for the organization. Companies who do not have the vision, right? It's formulated, written, and rehearsed and repeated, and you're utilizing that to make your daily decisions. Those are the companies who do not grow. If you can take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Tell me about, and just a quick pivot, the younger Sid growing up.
Yeah.
Did he ever envision a day?
Yeah.
What was the vision of the younger Sid, maybe a childhood Sid, about who Sid would be in this life?
Yeah.
Did you see a role model that emulated that at all? Or what was the vision then? And did it change?
Yeah.
Now that's a complex question here.
No, so I have to be very true and honest in my response in terms of what is the vision, what I had. And so growing up, I used to, I had several opportunities like playing games where you're always called as a leader. Mm-hmm. People say, hey, you should be leading the team. Or you're leading a debate program. They would say, hey, we want you to lead.
So you were picked out?
Yeah.
Often?
Right. I was often picked out. So at that point in time, I had that, first of all, I had that opportunity to do it, as a result of which it gave me a lot of confidence and courage to really do those kind of things. Now, what is it that I was envisioning myself at that point in time, or what is the vision, what I had that I'm going to be doing in a later part of my life? Well, growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor, but so even today I do make-believe stuff at home that I'm the doctor. so my kids like have a blast out of it.
So there's a cut and there's like major surgery about to happen as a result of a cut, a tiny cut.
Yeah. So all the kind of funny moments happen. And then while going back, what had happened was, this is a dream which I used to have. It's like I dream a lot. I don't know why, but I'm a person, if you ask me to go to sleep right now, I can. Mm-hmm. That's the way I am. I can just fall asleep like that.
They call people like that screensavers.
Oh, really?
You can immediately go into screensaver mode, like your computer.
And I would start dreaming in like less than 30 seconds. That's how vivid my memory or imagination is.
Really?
That's what happens, right? And so I've always had this that I'm where it's funny, but I want to tell you this, right?
Tell me. We want to hear it.
So when I was young, and for a long time, right, the only thing what I used to have is it's a huge building, and I'm walking up the staircase. It has a huge. It has right in front of the building. There is like a lot of stairs, and you're leading up to the building, and I'm owning the building. And I'm wearing a jacket. I'm wearing a nice suit.
A nice suit.
A nice suit, and I'm carrying a bag. And I'm going to the
briefcase.
building. Yes.
And you're going into the building.
Right. And that actually transcended, in the sense it got carried through.
Yeah.
And at some point in time, what had happened is, because I was reading a lot of how companies were growing and all of that, I started thinking, okay, at some point in time, I started dreaming this, that there will be a lot of people working for the organization. So that was a vivid dream what I had.
And I'm grateful that you share that, because I believe, Sid, that there are breadcrumbs from our childhood that kind of lead to seeing the future version of ourselves. So the fact that you could see that image, even though you didn't necessarily know what it meant, it was a strong vision of seeing yourself going up a staircase into a building with a suit on, with your briefcase. It's powerful, because there's a saying, and I say it all the time. I say it with my son as well. If you can see it, you can be it.
Absolutely.
Now, what happens in between is up to you.
Very true.
Right?
So agree.
I love the fact that you share that, and I want to encourage, our viewers and our listeners to think about, going back to their past, to their childhood, and seeing, are there breadcrumbs there that are showcasing who you could be today or tomorrow? And have you done anything in between the seeing it and being it to make it actually happen?
It's a very good point what you mentioned. This is an exercise which I do almost every other day. If, for example, I'm coming to this particular podcast, I've already thought through in my mind this morning as to how this podcast is going to be.
So you exercise the power of visualization.
Yes.
Yes.
And vision actually comes from visualization.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So growing up, there weren't enough coaches or people who would really ask you to do this exercise, or there was not a technique where people had spoken about, or at least I did not know. But now I keep coaching to my son or to anybody whom I meet, is that you can visualize it. If you visualize that this is how it is going to be, it will be that way.
I believe in the power of visualization as well, and it's
awesome.
a powerful tool,
Very true.
you know, and I'm sure there are a lot of leaders that sit down and utilize that as well, whether they realize what they're doing or not. You know, visualizing the success after you're pitching your business, or
Absolutely.
visualize winning that next contract, or visualize building that business, or visualizing having a great life and thriving in it.
Very true.
Not just winging it, just really thriving, finding a way to live one of the things that you call, and actually that I know is your theme for the year, which is ikigai, you know, and it's what's your reason for being? How do you pull that out? So we talked a little bit about your vision as your childhood vision, the vision of the company and how you started. I wanna ask you, how do you stay focused on the vision?
Yeah.
Because that's hard unless, you know, there's so many distractions, there's so many obstacles, there's a lot of adversity, maybe less for some than others, but what I have witnessed is that sometimes people are knocked down by that adversity and they don't get back up.
Right.
So how do you stay focused on your vision? How did VDART, from 8 years ago when I saw you maybe at 15 million in annual revenue, and 8 years later at almost 200 million, how do you stay focused on that vision?
So there are two aspects to it. The first one I would say is your vision and your higher purpose has to be tied in.
What's the distinction for you?
So the distinction is
I like this. We're getting into the nitty-gritty here. This is the secret sauce right here.
The higher purpose is overarching your vision.
Okay.
Right? And your purpose, your purpose, your higher purpose, and your business's purpose.
Okay.
If they are tied together and if they are one and the same, right? You will never find a dull moment.
So if your personal mission and vision is tied to the vision and mission of your company, then the marriage of those two
is extremely strong, as a result of which you will never go out of focus. Right? And more importantly, it's the purpose. You know, why do I exist? Right? What is my higher purpose? My higher purpose is very simple. How can I transform the trajectory of people's lives? How can I inspire and transform somebody's trajectory? That's the way I look at it, right?
And you take the business.
Absolutely.
And the business is the vehicle for executing that.
Absolutely.
Powered through your higher intention.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So how do I stay focused? If you are intentional about your higher purpose, day in and day out, right?
We got to see it up front, Sid. Do we have to see it up front, day in and day out?
So you don't need to see it up front.
Okay.
As long as you are, you know what is as long as you are aware about your higher purpose, which ties into your vision, and you're intentional about it, you are never going to get out of focus. Yes, there will be moments where you will get out of focus, right? When you face adversity, right?
When the jolts come.
Yeah.
To kind of put you back on track.
Right. But if you are able to stay put and be intentional about it, there is an effort which happens, right? You have to put the effort to be intentional about it, And that is when you will be able to overcome. In moments of adversity, when you're getting a little straight off, you can come back into the picture. You can bring it back into focus.
Where does mental agility and grit, how does that play into focus?
Mental agility and grit. Very interesting question. All right. That's good. We're talking about it. So mental agility is, both the points are absolutely very critical.
The mindset. Right.
Very important ingredients for you to stay on task, right? And that is, so when you speak about mental agility and grit, those are two important aspects which is going to help you stay focused when it comes to adversity, for you to stay on top of or stay in focus with your vision, right? So the way I practice mental agility, I can talk to you more from a practical example as to what I go through. So there is my mornings. I'm a very very early morning person, and the way I look at mental agility is exercising, workouts really keep you mentally agile. And again, grit. It's the number one reason for, or the number one contributor for success, is what I believe in. All right.
Grit.
Yeah.
Which we can also equate to resilience.
Yes.
No. A little
absolutely,
bit.
Yes.
Okay.
To a little bit. Right. So grit and resilience are, I would call it slightly different.
Okay.
All right. But resilience is, okay, you're coming back, like when you're really down and under, how do you fight it out and you come back? Yes, grit is a trait what you require to really have resilience.
So what is grit?
So grit, the way I will put it across is, it is something what you, given any situation, you are going to have a positive outlook. That's what I would put grit as, and you'll work in that direction.
Okay.
Whether you have negativity or whatever is going on, you're going to look at the positive side of it, and you're going to work towards it. That's what I would put grit as.
Okay, I love it. So grit, resilience, mental agility. How do you do that? You exercise. You take mindfulness.
Yeah.
What do you say to yourself, Sid?
So that is my.
What does Sid say to himself?
So that is my affirmation. So again, it's a great point what you brought up. Mental agility, right? Grit, resilience, or positivity,
mindset,
right?
Yeah.
Mindfulness. All of this can be done in less than like 30 minutes to an hour in a day, and you could really move forward on it. And one of the most important things is affirmation, talking to yourself, right? Talking to yourself about your vision. If you really want to achieve your vision and you really want to keep moving, so the way I put it across is, vision is something, it is so audacious, it is so positive, it is so, it's not narrow focused, it withstands the time. It's not time bound. Vision is not time bound. That's the way I look at it.
Vision is not time bound.
No, it's not time bound. It is not something which you have achieved your vision.
It's constant.
Yes, you have never arrived. So that's why when you see our vision, it says our vision is to create success, wealth, and quality of life. Have we arrived? You can never say whether we have arrived or not. So it is going to keep you constantly working
striving
towards
and
it.
working it.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Right. So that's the direction what we are moving towards.
Okay.
Right. So to your point, the question what you were asking is about.
I asked about what does Sid say to himself?
Yes. So that is
What does it
affirmation,
say?
right?
Right.
So there's a gentleman by name Rich Boas. All right. Again, this is a learning opportunity for me.
Okay.
So Rich was one of the speakers at the US PAC conference, which was held in Atlanta. Now there were two books what he recommended, and he was very very powerful motivational speaker. His name is, and they had invited him here, and I'm sure that you were there at that event as well. And again, this was earlier on when we started the company.
Okay.
I was never exposed to all of these. I was never exposed to what an affirmation meant, right? And talking to yourself, man. So that's when he recommended 2 books, which is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and Dale Carnegie's, which is How to Influence Your Friends, and right. Now, in that particular event, he said you have to have an affirmation, what you want to be and what you want to achieve. So you're forcefully creating that image, and you're talking to your subconscious mind, where the subconscious mind makes it work for you, and you achieve it, right? And it ties into the vision. So when my affirmations are centered around my vision, and one of the most important things Rich says is, don't tell your affirmations to anybody else.
So we're not going to get that piece of the secret sauce. We respect it. We respect that. And
so whatever I want to be is what my affirmation is.
And what you inevitably become.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that's my affirmation.
You know what I also sit down here and gather from vision is the fact that you're very aware. You're very self-aware. You're very reflective. You're very intentional. You have your vision, your personal vision, your personal mission clearly identified. Then clearly identified as well for your company, and kind of merging those together and allowing you to live your ikigai, your reason for being, right? More fully and more alive. Tell me now, you've done this for yourself. I mean, and it's constant, right? I mean, I do know, and please share, you are constantly you have a growth and learning mindset. You're constantly pushing yourself to read books, to expose yourself maybe to different mindsets, different viewpoints, different experiences that allow for you to kind of learn and extract. Here I am getting in Sid's mind here. It's what I've witnessed. So tell me, once you've done that for yourself, what's the call within you? When you came, when we spoke and we first met 8 years ago, one of the areas that you wanted to grow in was in leadership and in leading your team, because you already knew, you had that vision, and maybe you had that feeling that there was more coming, that more was going to develop. And you needed to prepare yourself to be able to tap into more for you and realize that for you, but then also help unlock and crack open that in the other people that you will lead. So, Sid, tell me, how do you keep your team focused and centered around your vision?
Awesome. So I'll answer that in 2 parts. So the question what you asked, and you gave me the answer as well.
Didn't mean to do that.
So first of all, how do I, going back about 10, 12 years, right? I did not have this mindset. Maybe
and when you say this mindset, what are we saying?
It's not crystallized.
The mindset of?
The learning mindset.
The learning mindset.
The learning mindset was always there, but it's the opportunities and resources and the coaches and mentors who wanted me to think differently and do things differently. I did not have that. And so if I step back and say, hey, 10 years ago, was I listening to this many podcasts? Was I listening to these many, or was I reading this much? No, I wasn't, right?
And you have a podcast a day, which you shared earlier with me.
Yes.
Just want to make sure people know that part of the secret sauce is listening to a podcast a day.
Listening to a podcast, and the most important thing is implementing something out of that podcast. Having a learning moment and utilizing that to implement into something. That is where is the key.
Okay.
All right. So coming back to the point is what I had as I did not have that mindset about 10 years ago as to the voracious mindset what I have right now. And hungry to learn and hungry to meet somebody new and putting yourself into uncomfortable positions, trying to create those black swan moments as a result of which you become really, really agile.
The black swan moment?
Yes.
Do tell.
Oh, okay. So a black swan moment is how do you really become the best, right? How can you get the best out of yourself? Is by really putting yourself in very, very uncomfortable positions. So you play roulette. If you go to a casino and you play roulette, you place bets on various different things, right? If you just put one chip in one particular area, the chances are you're not going to win. The chances in a roulette. But if you put multiple chips on the table, in various different slots, the chances of you winning are higher. It's the same concept what you apply to yourself. Those are called as black swan moments. You apply the same concept to yourself. Where you place your chips in various different, you get into the most uncomfortable situations. Get into a room like about 200 people, you do not know anybody at all, and how is it that you're going to handle that situation? Try to create those uncomfortable moments.
I love
right?
that. So then from those moments,
that is what gives you, go.
That gives you the number one, I think, the confidence of stepping in and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Which is something that all of us are constantly dealing with.
Yep.
And actually, if I might, one of the thought that it takes me to as well is, if we're constantly working on becoming the best and being the black swan and putting ourselves in those uncomfortable moments to become more comfortable, when change starts to occur, which is inevitable, which is constantly happening, whether in your personal life or in the trajectory of your business, then you can, I think, step a little bit more confidently in those moments where you can see the shifts occurring. Then step in, not be paralyzed by the situations, but embrace it, because you've already been doing that for so long.
Absolutely.
That you've created that, I think, mental stamina or that endurance, or that you've exercised that muscle where then you can pivot and then get to a point where you start with a VDART and you have now 5 companies.
Absolutely. Very well articulated. That is exactly what black swan moments are. You get into those uncomfortable positions, you have a learning factor out of it, you are so used to those kind of situations, and you start performing well, and very well said.
And so part 2.
Yeah.
So how do you instill focus on your team?
On my team.
How do you focus on the vision?
Absolutely. So I'll talk through that a little bit. How do you keep the team focused? First of all, a vision is not something where you just write it on from a business standpoint. It's not something which you just write it on a wall and leave it, right? There are lots of companies who do that way, but the way to carry through the vision in the organization is every meeting, every huddle, every conversation what you have in the organization starts off with a vision. So people really know what the vision is and what is our guiding North Star. What is our North Star, right? So that has to percolate through the organization at all levels. That is the first and most important thing. The second thing is, when you find small acts, say in an organization where we have close to about 450 plus people working within our own teams, over 2,500 people, but 450 people working. You're addressing this organization day in and day out. When you're doing that, when you see a small act, or when you see a promotion, when you see an appraisal or something of that nature, right? You have to tie that messaging into the vision. How is it that this particular individual, or this girl or boy or him or her, have created success, wealth, and quality of life for our customers, for their colleagues, for their internal customers, external customers. So you keep tying in the stories of the vision. That is when it gets deeply ingrained. They start thinking, hey, the act which I'm doing right now, is it going to create success, wealth, and quality of life? Does it transform the trajectory of people's lives? That is how, so you have to have the story in it.
I mean, and it sounds like, you're really imprinting it, so that it has permanence in the soul of each single employee.
Absolutely.
And as a leader, what would you say that your most important role is as a leader, in whether it's as a leader in general or regarding vision? What do you think your most important role is?
My most important role in the organization is being a CVO. being a chief vision officer, and how is it that I can instill our vision and purpose in the organization in every conversation so it gets deeply ingrained, and we are doing consistently what is right.
Well, we've had an incredible time today, Sid.
Thank
Learning,
you.
I think we talked about topics I didn't even think we were going to get to. And touching upon, vision, you now as the chief visionary officer of VDART and other companies that you now have, Vouch and VValidate.
Vouch,
and
Ledger,
digital.
VValidate. Yeah. Thank you.
Tell us, what is the vision for the future?
Yeah.
And what would you leave as a recommendation for folks to consider?
Sure. The vision for the future, as I mentioned just a little while ago, is that you cannot have. So vision is something with what you have not. It's not arrived. It's going to be an ongoing thing, constant thing. But what I perceive as a vision for the organization is, there's a very good analogy that Brian Buffini talks about, which is pebbles. So every time when we go to a fort, a huge fort, say probably centuries old, just envision.
Okay, I'm envisioning.
Imagine a vision. Imagine a fort.
Okay.
And those forts are built with huge boulders.
Yes.
Right? And you see a
Yes.
carved out boulder after boulder, and they are stacked up, and the
Right.
fort goes all the way up, right? And then there are pebbles, which are near a river, right? So at the moment, I think we are all pebbles. What we are trying to do is, when we throw the pebble into the river, we are creating ripples, which means we are educating people, we are getting them to the next level, we're trying to help them transform the trajectory. We're just doing that. Where our vision for the future looks like is, we want to be the big rock on the fort, which means leaving a legacy. We want to be legacy builders, leaving a legacy of creating people who are really striving for our purpose and vision, which is to transform the trajectory of people's lives, which is for creating success, wealth, and quality of life for people. That's the way I look at it.
So, I love that. The last maybe 3 points that you'll share with someone who might be struggling on finding their vision or needing a reminder about how to overcome obstacles, just something that just organically comes to your mind that you'd share with maybe someone that you're a company that's starting, or a person who needs to see what they can't see yet but manifest it.
Yeah.
That might be a tough,
No.
complex question there here.
Yeah. So first of all, I would say I think they need to take a back seat and put on a learning mindset.
Okay.
Only when you are open to learning, you will be in a position to soak in what you're going to. So because with a learning mindset, all you have to do is, if you get a mentor or a coach, a person who is going to guide you through in terms of what is your purpose, right? What is your vision? And somebody has to. There are lots of people
Extract
who can
that.
Absolutely. There are lots of people. I think we are blessed, or I'm lucky. God has created me this way, that I'm able to visualize things, right? And that's the reason why people. Not that I'll call myself a visionary or anything of that nature, but you're able to dream, you're able to see, right? But a lot of people can't see that.
Right.
And that is where they need external help. For getting that external help, you need to have a learning mindset.
To be able to accept and receive.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we can block, right?
Absolutely.
That which someone is sharing that they see in you, that you have maybe not yet seen within yourself.
Yeah.
And we heard a story about another lady who started a company earlier before our start, right? And she talked about how someone had seen that opportunity for her to manifest and start her own firm, and it planted the seed of opportunity. It germinated that seed of opportunity. So, okay, so be open.
So be open,
and aware,
learning mindset,
and learning
making sure
mindset.
that you're reaching out to people who can. So first of all, with the learning mindset, you got to reach out to people who can really help you, and that could be that is the kind of problem what I'm trying to solve through our organization, right? Through VDART, I would be able to create success, wealth, and quality of life if you are able to vision where you want to get to.
Can I take a step further?
Sure.
Where does belief come into the picture?
Where does belief come into the picture?
Belief
Yeah.
that you can achieve the vision.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Absolutely, very well said. You got to have belief in yourself, right? That has to be a very strong belief. Is a very important part of this whole ecosystem, what we're talking about, and you got to have that belief that, you know what, I am going to be doing ABC, or I am going to be successful. I'm going to do whatever it is. But belief is a very, very important part of the ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did we give those? I think we did. Did we do the pointers? We gave the pointers on vision.
Yeah.
So you said growth,
So
learning
vision,
mindset,
yeah.
awareness,
Help.
getting
help for your
mentorship.
vision. Yeah. Getting external help, reaching out to people, reaching out to mentors, coaches. In fact, from this podcast, if somebody says, hey, I want to craft my vision, and would you be able to help? You're the right person. Who else can I say?
We're here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And especially to see,
Right.
8 years later, your vision still so strong and
Absolutely.
being manifested, and that ripple effect that you continue to do.
Yeah.
So here's my last question.
Sure.
What does thriving mean for Sid now at this point?
That's a
Because
great
we
question,
talked
yeah.
about driven to thrive,
Yeah.
not driven to achieve,
Right.
and some people need different things in their lives, but significance and, but thriving
Yeah.
in your life. What does that
Yeah.
look like?
So, what does thrive to me means prosper, right? Prospering in a particular ecosystem, right? What I am blessed with is a gift, which and a gift is something which I have to give it to somebody else, right? And
It's not for you to keep for yourself,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is something which we have to give it to others, people whom you touch upon. That's the way I look at it. So I've been thriving with whatever I have achieved, but now it is the time that I need to pass on the gift, and that is what I've been consistently doing in terms of passing on my gift to my teams or people whom I come across. Right?
Beautiful.
So creating a thriving ecosystem for people who are associated with me or people whom I come in contact with. That
I
is
feel
what
like
thrive means to me.
we have a philanthropist here. I see it.
Oh, thank you.
Sid, thank you so much for your time today.
I'm not done yet.
We're not done? We're just
So-
getting started. Okay.
Absolutely. So the last we spoke so much about the learning mindset, right? This
Yes.
is just a key takeaway for
Yes.
the audiences. Again, I'm a huge fan of Brian Buffini, where he talks about how do you get the learning mindset. There's a very interesting story. Michelangelo, towards this is an Italian phrase. Towards the last stage, he was 80 plus, and he had this marvelous architecture which he had created. And there was one passing gentleman who stopped by, and he said, "This is amazing. How did you do it?" He said, "Ancora imparo." Ancora imparo is Italian. What it means is yet I'm learning. So I want to just say that it's all about learning,
Okay.
and I'm yet I'm learning.
Yet I am learning. Encaro,
Ancora imparo.
emparo.
Yeah.
Wow. What a gift to have you here today,
Thank
Sid.
you.
Thank you for cracking yourself open,
Thank you
talking
so
about
much.
your drive,
Absolutely.
talking about that authenticity that you share and that gift, and how you have arrived to your vision and are continue to become continuously that vision day in, day out. Grateful to have you.
Thank you.
And may success continue to follow you, and may you continue to create that incredible ripple
Absolutely.
of creating health, wealth, and quality of life for all those that you touch.
Oh, thank you so much, Veronica.
Thanks for having us.
Fantastic podcast. What a great idea. And Driven to Thrive, we've been speaking about it for quite a while.
Yes, it's
but
here.
for you to really kick off this podcast, I'm sure that it's going to be uber successful.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. And
Thank you.
If there is anything I can do, I would always be more than happy to. You've been an amazing part of, incredible part of our journey, our success story, and I want to be in your a very important factor in your success as well. So
Thank
anytime.
you so much. And
Right.
you know I'll be calling.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And all right, till the next time. Driven to
Absolutely.
thrive. Stay driven to
Yes.
thrive in
Thank you.
business and in life.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.